Hey there, bookkeeping side hustle community. It's Kate. It is June 29th, 2022, and we are here for a demo with Keeper. This is a round two. We talked with Ben, our guest, founder of Keeper, last year, and a lot has changed, been improved, and so I wanted to make sure we knew all that has happened in the Keeper platform since we spoke. So I'm so glad that, Ben, that you're here, and I'm going to give you a chance to introduce yourself, a little bit of administrative stuff before we go. Guys, comment in the chat. I'll be watching it, and we can ask questions as we go. The richer these things are richer, the better, the more interactive they are. And then we wanted to make sure that everyone knew that if you sign up for Keeper with the link, which you can find at bookkeepingsidehustle.com/keeper, you're going to get 20% off for your first 3 months, but better than that, you will be entered into a drawing for 50% off Keeper for life. And we're doing that drawing on July 6th. So that is the admin. Let us know where you're from, where you're listening from. And now I'll ask Ben to introduce himself and just tell us the quick intro of Keeper.
Well, thank you so much, Kate. And let me first start by saying it's an honor to be here. It's always a pleasure to see you, whether that is in person in Florida.
Yeah,
or,
I got to see him in Florida at a BKX. So it was a good time. I hope that I didn't get to stay for your karaoke party though.
Next year.
Next year.
Awesome. So I'm Ben. I'm Keeper CEO and co-founder. And at Keeper, what we do is we write software to help bookkeepers streamline and automate their work. So what Keeper is it's an app that takes over your workflow. It takes over your client communications. It takes over your file reviews. It takes over your management reporting, your document management. And so it can really be an all-in-one app to manage everything you need to do to run a client's business.
Wow. That sounds thorough. So you'll have to show us all that in a minute. Before we dive into the demo, though, I do want to get to it pretty quick. I like sometimes people in this community are not quite ready for, or they're just starting the investigation of tools like yours. They've been kind of managing a little Google Sheet, a little Word doc, I don't know, and then they're ready for something more powerful. So what are the top 3 tips that are the top 3 distinguishing things that if people had to turn off the demo now and they're going to come back in 6 months when they're ready to buy, that did you want them to walk away with? What's special about Keeper? What are some of your favorite parts of the software?
Yeah. So what I will say is probably the thing that customers appreciate most about Keeper is the ability to communicate with your clients, and more than just communicating with your clients, how much faster it helps you get client responses. So next time you are sending a spreadsheet in the email, or we're still sending a follow-up email to that email that contained the Excel spreadsheet with questions about uncategorized transactions or questions about the W-9 for that new vendor that your client paid that you need to take care of in June so you don't have to take care of it in January. I want you to think there is a better way. That better way is Keeper, and we're here to help you streamline and automate all of that work in a way that your clients will actually like doing more than just answering emails.
All right. Well, that's a good distinguishing little summary there. I've been guilty of sending follow-up emails to follow-up emails. So I thought there's obviously a need for it. So let's jump into the demo. If you hit the share button on your screen, I'll add it to the stream here. I'm adding it to the stream, and here we go.
All right, perfect. Okay, so this right here is the first screen that you'll see when you log into Keeper. You can think of this like a high-level dashboard of all the work you need to do for each client, as well as any outstanding requests that you may have to them. So over here on the right, you can see all of the outstanding tasks you have for each client broken down into the different types of tasks. So for example, here you can see all of your account recs. You can see all of the review items that you have in Keeper. We'll talk more about what those look like later. And then if you add due dates to these, then you can see any tasks that are overdue will get highlighted here in red. So DemoCo, for example, we can see we have 2 overdue transaction review items, and we can actually click right here as well and see the tasks themselves. So we can see that we still have to do the expense inconsistency and uncategorized transactions reports Those were assigned to me and they were due on the 15th.
Okay.
Also right here, you can see any outstanding questions you have for your clients, any answers they have or haven't given you, and then any questions they've asked you here in the portal.
How do I get those columns? I'm reading non-closing, post-closing, systems management. How are those column headers created?
So almost all of these actually come in built in by default because Keeper is just built for bookkeepers. A lot of the work that you may do is similar to a lot of the work that other bookkeepers do,
right?
Like reconciling, like reviewing transactions, like reviewing new payees. And so we pre-build a lot of this for you. And then any additional custom sections that you may have that makes your firm and your work for your clients unique, you can add those as new custom sections within the client's close. And that will add them also as custom columns here as well.
Okay. It's going to help us standardize, which I know is the goal.
Yes.
So that it almost kind of forced, like, I have a process because I have a process, so this is how my clients are going to fit into it. Kind of that mentality. So
Exactly.
All right.
And then one more thing I'll share that's actually a favorite of a lot of Keeper customers, and that's new since we last spoke, is the Kanban View. So now if you're managing tasks in Trello, if you have sort of like this client is, we haven't yet started their close, or they're in progress, or we're stuck on something because we're waiting on the client, you can now view all your closes like a Kanban view, and then make sure that everything is progressing apace, sort of drag and drop things between them, for example.
So when you just moved that, did that just change it on that more database look?
Yep. And so now here we can go back and see that blue light is now waiting on the client. So of course, if we move this back to stuck, then it's going to go back to the Kanban column here as well.
All right. Yeah, everyone has their own, like there's a lot of people, there's like passionate opinions about which view you like your workflows to show up in.
Yeah, we try not to be opinionated on that. We try to let you be opinionated, and a big core sort of value prop of Keeper is you can run the close the way that you want to run the close. We don't try to be very top-down legislative of the way that things need to work.
Okay. Well, and I guess you took the feedback because it didn't look like this, like you said. So yeah, that's customer feedback led, I would guess.
Yeah, we make improvements to the product every single week, and so we're always listening to what our customers want. So anytime you have a feature request, we love to hear about it and love to keep making the product better for all of our customers.
All right.
All right. So I'm going to actually click into a client now. That's going to take us to the close page. This is where all your work actually lives in Keeper. This is where all the tasks live. This is where we pull in all your clients' QuickBooks data. This is where you initiate new emails and communicate with your client and manage what they see in their portal. So this is really where you'll spend the bulk of your time here in Keeper. A few of the new things that we've added just off the bat since we last spoke. So we added time tracking, that's built in here. We added document management. I'll talk a little bit more about some of the kinds of things you can store within Keeper. But right now, what you can see is all of your tasks here are organized into different sections. And then each of these sections corresponds to a column on the previous page. So if we added a new section here, that would add a new column on the previous page as well.
Okay.
And if we come down here to the account rec section, this is, I think, a good group of tasks to start with, because this is where you can start to see the impact of Keeper sync with QBO. So when you first connect a client file, we'll automatically pull in all your client's bank and credit card accounts. We'll show you the date of the last reconciled transaction on that client file. We'll show you the balance of that client's account at month end. And you can also go in and drag and drop and upload statements here as well. And then that will automatically organize all of your file structures so that if you want to go back and look for older Chase statements, for example, those are always just a couple of clicks away. And then if you have other balances that you reconcile, like a loan balance or an intercompany due to from account, you can add all of those here as well. So you have your checklist of all the accounts you need to reconcile at month end.
And those are green because you've already made those green?
Because we've completed them. So if we unchecked it, see it's in progress, and now it's overdue because it was due on the 8th.
Got it.
And then as we come down here to the transaction review, this is the start of Keeper's month-end review. So each one of the reports in this and the following sections are designed to show you something about your client's financials that you want to review before you actually go and deliver management reporting to them. So the first one of these is the expense inconsistency report. What this does is it acts like a second set of eyes on your bank feed. It looks through all of the transactions you coded over the last month. It cross-references those against all of the historical coding data that's already sitting in your client's file. And then it's going to flag and surface for your attention any transactions that are coded differently from how they were coded in the past. So here we can see Zoom is coded for office supplies. And if we click this arrow for more information, we can see that typically Zoom is coded as software. So Keeper is going to flag that transaction for your review. And because Keeper is synced bidirectionally with QuickBooks, any changes you want to make from Keeper, you can just click the cell you want to edit, type the change you want to make, hit enter, and that'll instantly sync this change back to QuickBooks so that if you pull this transaction up in QuickBooks, you'd see that it's now been coded as software.
That's impressive. So that it has the entire up-to-date chart of accounts like in that drop-down menu that you were typing in.
Exactly. And if you don't see an account, you can of course always add a new account, add a new vendor.
Okay.
Yeah, so it really is like all the interfacing you would do in your client's QuickBooks file, but just right here in Keeper.
Cindy is asking specifically about this. Is there a way to see if there are flagged transactions without opening each section?
There is not currently, although I think that is a fairly highly requested feature in our customer feedback tool. So right now you would click into and review each one of the reports.
All right, thanks for that question, Cindy. Please keep asking. All right, and then Ben's gonna go start working on building that right
yes.
Yep.
One more thing I'll mention though that's really helpful, especially if you work with a team, is we have chat that's sort of like Slack, directly woven into the work you actually need to do. So for example, if you're the primary bookkeeper and then you see a transaction, you want to tag a team member in, like tag the reviewer in and say, hey, do you know what this is for? You can escalate these comments internally and then they'll get a notification about this so they can go and give you that feedback. So we have all this in-app chat, but it's not just chat in a feed. It's chat that's actually tied to that particular transaction. So you can always see the historical conversation that you had in previous periods.
Does a client see that chat at all?
No, that's a great question. That's actually feedback we got. So that was a little confusing. And so anytime you're in a commenting part of Keeper that's internal, you'll always get this badge here that says these comments are not seen by your clients.
Okay.
But that actually is a good transition to the next section that I want to talk about here in Keeper, which is how you can ask for input from your clients.
Okay.
So instead of using the chat button right here to the left, you use the Ask Client button here on the right. And so here, for example, if you have a transaction you've coded to a suspense account that you want to ask your clients about, you can click the Ask Client button. You can type the question you want to ask, or if you have a question that you find yourself commonly asking, like, is this business or personal, or can you please upload a receipt, or just a general, what is this for? You can even create template questions here as well.
Okay, little hotkeys, kind of.
Exactly. Yep. And then when you click Add to Client Portal, that's going to put this question in your client's portal where they can go to give you feedback.
So is it notifying them at that point?
Yeah, that's a great question. It does not. That's a big important part of what we do at Keeper. So we want to give you the control so that you can separately prepare the client portal. So ask the questions you want to ask, and then send your clients one notification email rather than sending them 15 notification emails every time you're asking a question, which is training them to ignore all your emails.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. So at whatever frequency you need, you'd be able to add those. Before we move on, Joanna is asking something about this. Do we need to first take action, like add and categorize transactions sitting in for review of the bank feed before we can see the transactions in any section of Keeper?
Yeah, that's a great question. The answer to that is yes. You're not able to just leave them in the bank feed. Keeper can't see any transactions that are still in the bank feed. The bank feed is sort of technically like a separate product in Keeper, and we're only able to see what's, in QuickBooks, we're only able to see what's actually coded into the ledger, so what actually has a debit.
Okay. Thanks for that question, Joanna.
And then in the once you have put those in the client portal, you can manually email your client, or you can set up automated email reminders. So here, if we want to send our clients an email, like say, hey, we have some new questions in our portal, you just click send email here. We can choose the new questions email template, and then we can just send our clients an email, and that'll shoot them a message right here. Additionally, so this is what I mentioned. So instead of sending a follow-up after follow-up after follow-up, if you just have this box checked right here, then if your clients have any outstanding unanswered questions in their portal, checking this box will send them a follow-up email reminder at the frequency of your choosing. So that can be weekly, that can be 2 times a week, that can be monthly, depending on your preferences.
So you set that for so that's almost like an automated thing where I want Keeper
Correct.
to send an email every 2 months. Sorry, every 2 weeks. Is that just for this client, or is that going to be is that a setting I can make globally at like my company level to send it to all clients?
Yeah, great question. So as far as establishing the frequency, that is something that you set at the practice level. So you go here to your client portal settings. You go here to to reminders, and then here you can choose how frequently those emails will get sent out. Additionally, you can also choose which client on a client by client basis receives reminders, either by going into your client, going to the client portal tab and enabling reminders from here, or if you have lots of clients and you want to just go bulk and turn reminders on for all of them, you can go here to your all client settings, and then here you can turn on reminders just by clicking this box right here.
Okay.
All right. And then let's actually go and shift out of Keeper for a second and into the client portal, and we'll talk a little bit more about what that looks like here as well.
Okay.
So this has also been completely redesigned since we last demoed Keeper. But so now your clients have a full dashboard of all of the open questions that you have for them, any questions that they have asked for you, and then any financial reports that you generate and publish out of Keeper into the client's portal. One other thing I want to mention before we talk about functionality is look and feel. So the client portal can be fully custom branded. Right now, you're seeing the sort of standard version of the portal, but this can also live behind your own firm domain with your own integrated color scheme, your integrated logo, and then your integrated email as well, so that any notifications that you email to your clients about new questions in their portal can actually come directly from your email address rather than from any Keeper branded email. So this can really feel like an extension of your own firm services rather than another hack you're trying to convince your clients to use.
That's pretty cool. So like at the top of my website, like I have, I don't know, about me and contact, I would have a like client portal thing,
Yep.
and that's where it would live, and so everyone kind of knows to go there. And it looks pretty cool that I have a client portal on my homepage if I see someone, if someone is coming to me for the first time. Cool.
Exactly. And so yeah, this would be something like clients.mypracticename.com. This would be just an example here of what like a custom branded portal looks like. You can see it's at your own domain, your logo and color scheme. So you really have the flexibility to make this feel more like your brand than ours.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so let's talk about some of the things that you're seeing in here. So what we have right here is a sticky note. This is a good way of just giving a sort of like general broadcast message. If you want to say like, hey, I'm out of office for the next week, you can put this up across all your clients. If you want to just give them a link to your Calendly, this is also a good place for that. And then here as well, they can see any open questions. So that transaction question we just asked our client about, they can see that right here. So you can click their transaction questions. We can see that AP Indigo transaction we just asked our clients about. And then our clients can really easily come here and add a comment and say this is something like workers' comp. And then once they answer that, you'll get notified so that you can take action back in Keeper.
How am I getting notified?
By email, and then you can choose the frequency that you get those notifications. So if you want to get like a daily aggregated summary of all the clients who responded, you can get that summarized, or you can get it sent to you instantly as soon as any client responds to any question. And then we also have filters on the client list in general, so that you can see, okay, like these are the clients who've answered my questions. And then actually I want to show a couple more things here. So this is not just for coding questions. This is for any requests you may have. So for example, if you have a credit card that you can't get read-only access to, and so you need to request that statement from your clients, you can set that up as a recurring monthly request that'll publish in on the date when you need that. So if they get their financials on, or if they get their statements become available on the 15th, maybe you have this published for the 16th or the 17th, and then they can go in and upload a file right from here that will get added into Keeper. Likewise, you can initiate new W-9 requests for new vendors your clients have paid. We'll talk a little bit more about how this functionality works as we pop back into Keeper, but this is a great way to make sure that you're staying on top of documents that you may need for January over the course of the entire year.
Okay.
And then one last thing I want to show here before we hop back into Keeper is some of the management reporting that you can do in Keeper. So these can be published to the portal. You don't have to. You can also email them to your clients through Keeper, or you can download them as a PDF and do whatever you want with them. But so here, just taking a quick look at some of the things that you can do. This is actually going beyond the P&L balance sheet and cash flow that you might deliver out of QuickBooks. And so here we have things like a high-level executive summary. On the summary, you can show your clients high-level trends in their financials, how those compare against prior years, and then you can also define and track custom metrics. So if your clients say, I want to know, like, what is my labor as a percentage of sales? You can define that really easily directly in Keeper. You can put it on the executive summary here, and then it'll automatically update as your client's QuickBooks data does. This is all in addition to any P&L balance sheet and cash flow information. So as we come down, we can see this is a full management reporting package, and then you can even give your clients trend-based graphs and visual reporting here as well.
Are those like locked, like at a certain date? So the three that I'm seeing on you, if you close out of the box that's showing, and you had the three financial reports on the right side, are those the ones that I have specifically like pushed into this portal when I know that they're done?
Yes. Yeah. Great question. So Keeper, again, this comes back to our principle that it's like, we want to allow you to control what your clients are seeing, what your clients can experience. And so these are reports that you author in Keeper, and then you publish them. So if you don't choose to publish them, your clients won't see the financial reporting here as well.
Okay. And you'll tell us how to build those reports? Because I remember that being a pretty powerful part, because you were the CFO of a company who was having to build all this by hand, right? And so you're like, there has to be a better way.
Yeah. So our tool chain was literally, it was like start in QuickBooks, run the month-end close, and then like download a spreadsheet of our general ledger that I would skim to like find inconsistencies. And then once we had run our close, we felt confident in that, then pull up the P&L, review the P&L, then export that into Excel to build out other KPIs, and then take those KPIs and put those into a Word doc. And that's ultimately what I delivered to my CEO. That may be a little bit more heavyweight than what some firms may be doing, but it was this huge manual tool chain that you can now all centralize in Keeper. And so we deliver our monthly reporting to our investors all through Keeper's management reports.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, so I'll talk a little bit more about how you can actually author and create, customize those. But let's actually pop back into Keeper now. Our client has given us an answer to that question. And so now we can go ahead and act on that down here in the client question section. And so here, for example, in the transaction questions, we asked about that AP Inigo transaction. Our clients told us it was for workers' comp. We could add this to the memo, except that I have already done this demo apparently on this transaction before, so I already have added it to the memo. And then here, if you need more information before you know how to classify something, you can also respond and add a follow-up question that will put this transaction back in the portal with needing additional information.
Okay.
Of course, if you want to reclassify this, you can just directly recode the transaction, and that'll instantly update this transaction back to the client's QuickBooks file.
Okay.
Okay. So I want to touch on two more reports here in Keeper, and then I will move over to the management reporting, and we can talk about that as well.
Okay.
So the next report that we added here is the prepared 1099s report. This is a new report again since we last spoke. And this is, again, addressing a really personal pain point that I had that I suspect I'm not alone with. So every year at year end, I would pull the vendors by spend report. I would try and like go manually toggle and filter out the clients that did or did not, that were or were not spending on eligible spend categories for needing to file a 1099. And then I would just go try and chase down vendors and get the documentation, the W-9s that we needed.
Mm-hmm.
So this report
sounds familiar.
Yeah. So this report is designed to streamline a lot of that work. So what we're doing here is we're pulling all of your vendors, showing you the year-to-date spend, and this is actually recomposited on an individual transaction by transaction basis and on cash basis. So we're looking at bill payments, not just bills. And then you can also custom tailor which accounts do or do not get added into this year-to-date spend. So for example, you can exclude an inventory account. You can exclude a particular expense account if those do not actually require like if that's not 1099 eligible spend. We auto filter out any vendors under $600. We auto filter out any spend on credit cards. And so what you're getting here is the candidate set of vendors that may or may not need a 1099 at year end. We're also taking more data out of QuickBooks. So if you already have an email address in that vendor record, if you already have an address, if you already have a tax ID, we'll show you all of that here. So you can know whether or not you have that information. And if you don't, you can of course write that directly here in a Keeper. So if we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, we can save that as we can save that in Keeper, and that'll write that to QuickBooks as well. You can also check whether or not this vendor needs a 1099 in the first place. And so if you switch this to yes, then that's also going to check the box in the vendor card that says track for 1099.
Yeah,
for tax
wow.
purposes, exactly. And then if you don't have the information you need, so like let's say we've got 44 Main Street and we don't have the W-9 on file, so we need to request that. We can initiate a new request to our clients, and that's going to put it in the client portal. When they respond and upload the file, you're able to take that file, view it directly here in Keeper, and then push it into the vendor as an attachment as well, so that even if you're in QuickBooks and not in Keeper, you can still see that as an attachment.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah, so this is really designed to allow you to streamline all of that document collection, and more importantly, do it over the course of the entire year. I mean, I don't think anywhere is the expression an ounce of cure or an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure is more applicable than in collecting W-9s and documentation for vendors over the course of the entire year.
Yeah.
So this is a report we highly recommend firms run over the course of the year rather than just waiting until year end.
Right.
And then one more report I'll show here is the final review. This is where you can review your client's financial statements. And then here in Keeper, we're going to automatically flag any income or expense accounts that change significantly from their historical trend, so that you can use that both for your own internal QC purposes to say, okay, did we miscode something here? Or you can use this for some advisory services. You can say, okay, look, software is down 60%. Software never goes down 60%. Let's drill further down into that, see if we can surface some business insights that we want to tell our clients.
What did you do?
Right.
What did you forget to pay that now you're going to have to pay the higher price for?
Yeah, exactly. So for example, we can drill down into software. Another thing that we do here in Keeper is instead of like in QuickBooks, where it just shows you the several hundred different transactions in the software account, we group all of those by vendor, run the same trend analyses on the vendor as we do on the account. So you can see which spend or which changes with vendors are driving changes at the overall account level as well. So we can see it looks like this one top vendor went from around $4,000 to $6,000 a month to 0. And so that seems to be like a really obvious thing we may want to tell our clients about. And then here we can see it looks like increased spend with Intercom, decreased spend with Verimark, although that may have just been one-off charges. But so you can really easily get the high level information. And then of course you can also drill down to the transaction level detail as well. You can do things like communicate with your clients, chat with your team individually, or bulk recode transactions. So anything you can do in any report, you can do in all reports.
Wow. Y'all have been working hard.
We have. And I'm gonna wrap up with one more thing here as well. So like, let's say we've got this new vendor here, and we're going to do a month-end meeting. So we just want to make a note of this, and we want to tell our clients about it. So Keeper also has we have what we call our notes section, and this is where you can have let's do our June meeting, June 2022 client meeting, and then we can have a note here to say bring up reduced ASSN software spend. So that way we can have that on the agenda here, and then we can also use this as our place to take centralized notes with our clients.
Wow.
But yeah, so that's pretty much the high level to the close. So what it looks like to run a close in Keeper. I can go on to reporting here, or I can see if there's anything else you want to double click further down on.
Cindy had a question, and then I want us to move to the manager reports because I know that's a big thing. Cindy is asking, can you talk about the receipts not attached report? Are there tips on sending this information quickly to clients for when they have many transactions without receipts?
Yeah, that's a great question. So another report we added in Keeper is called the expenses and bills without attachments reports. And so this is basically exactly what it looks like. So we actually go in and look at all your transactions. We look at anything that does or does not have a receipt, and anything that doesn't have a receipt, you can bring that up here. If you have lots and lots of lots here, what you can do is you can just bulk select them. You can come here and, where are we? Oh yeah, add decline questions. So maybe we'll use the receipt template question that we built out and say, can you please upload a receipt for this transaction? Once we add that, that's going to put all of these transactions in your client's portal, and they can go in and add a receipt to each of them. Once they do that, you're able to then push that receipt as an attachment directly to the client's QuickBooks file.
So that's a manual step that you would have to do. Is there ways to do it in, like, if they spend the time to add 30 receipts, are we doing 30 pushes or?
Yeah, you would do 30 pushes. I would say
Okay.
that's like it's generally like a good principle, because you want to make sure that they uploaded the right receipt to the right transaction.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's manual, but for a reason. But the transaction will get attached to the transaction in Keeper automatically. So you can, even if you don't upload that to the client's QuickBooks file, you're still able to see that here in Keeper.
Okay. All right. Thanks for that question, Cindy. Why don't we head to the management stuff?
Let's do it.
Management reports.
Perfect. So I'm gonna actually make a quick detour here into metrics before we get to reporting. So this is a little bit upstream. So metrics is Keeper's version of Excel that's directly tied to your client's QuickBooks data. And so the key key metrics, for example, that we talk about on the executive summary right here, those are actually built in the metrics section. And so here in metrics, we have our P&L, our balance sheet, and our cash flow, and we can create custom KPIs. So you can build these out as custom formulas. So gross profit margin is very straightforward, like gross profit over income, labor as a percentage of sales, headcount spend over income. We can add in our own manual benchmark that's like, this should be below 80%. And then we can compare those two together. And so you have the ability to really define any custom KPIs you want from your clients. And you have the ability to bring in manual data for your clients. This is really important because I think one of the things that's most relevant is like taking non-financial data and combining it with financial data so that you can get a truer picture of the real drivers of your client's business. So for example, you can manually import, if you have like customer data from somewhere else, you can manually import the number of customers that they had in that month.
Like from Shopify or something.
Exactly.
Okay.
And then you can take revenue per customer as your income on your P&L divided by that number of customers.
Okay, I just want to take a little time out here and be clear to people listening to this. This is the Bookkeeping Side Hustle channel, but what he's talking about is like, this is like virtual CFO level work. I mean, this is all handy dandy in Keeper for us, but if you're providing this, like even if you're using this help of Keeper, but you're talking about these kinds of things, like this is beyond bookkeeping, y'all. So double your price or whatever. We'll talk about pricing in the Facebook group. Like we'll have a chat, but this is advanced, very, very, very advanced stuff. This is CFO stuff or controller stuff, or it's way more than just calling yourself a bookkeeper. So you get this tool and then you have an easy way to do this high level advisory stuff.
Yeah, thank you, Kate. That's exactly the right way of putting it. I mean, I think this is a really easy first step. So there's a million different FP&A tools out there, but this is a good first step to go beyond, like just a step beyond the P&L, balance sheet, and cash flow, and start doing like really simple stuff. Like gross profit margin is super simple to calculate in Keeper, and so I think we have some docs here on like some good ones to mention, but I can send you some resources on some good KPIs for different types of business models.
That would be fantastic. Yeah, I would love to share those because, I mean, all you have to do is learn it once, kind of, and then you apply it to the rest of your clients, y'all. It'll make it's like a general principle. So, all right. Exactly. So we build our metrics in the metrics section.
Yep. And then now let's go ahead and head over to reporting. This is where you can build out customized management reporting packages for your clients. And so here, every report that you have is sort of in its own section on the management reports. So this is where you can edit your executive summary. For example, if your client is a service-based business, they don't have COGS, you can disable that here in the comparison settings. You can also choose, this is where we take those metrics that we built out and we can put them here on the executive summary. And then of course, in addition, we also have the ability to create drafts based on those key metrics. So you can say, let's look at that labor as a percentage of sales against the benchmark. let's look at our income versus our expenses. And so for your clients who are more visual, like income versus expenses, literally you don't need any sort of advisory to know that. You just punch in income, you punch in expenses, you click run, you edit the title. And then you have something that's a little bit more visual for your clients so they can see how their business is changing over time.
You want one line to be on top of the other line.
Yep. Exactly.
I mean, so that's hero talk to some people, though, to some businesses, that like that we need this line to stay above and it's below these 3 months. So that's why you're broke.
Yep. Exactly. And then I want to talk a little bit about some of the customization you can do here on the income statement as well. And this goes for the balance sheet, statement of cash flows too. But so here, when you're looking at your client's financials, you have a lot of different options in terms of customizing what shows up there. So here, for example, we're looking at, what are we looking at here? Like here, if we wanted to do like a month by month trailing year to date, super easy to build that out. And so this will automatically recalculate every month. So you can see we've got January through May here, and then we can see how May is comparing against the trailing 4-month average.
Okay.
Additionally, for example, if your clients want like year over year comparisons, so like year over year, year to date, we can have that here by turning on a custom column and comparing that against the prior period. And we can see the dollar and the percentage change. This is one of the really minor things in Keeper that I think we do well, which is here in the percentage and dollar changes. What you can see that we do is if it's a good change, we highlight it in green. And if it's a bad change, we highlight it in red. So it's a little different from like up and down because expenses going up is a bad thing versus income going up is a good thing. If income goes up, that's green. If expenses go up, that's red.
Okay. No, that's another good visual that like a lot of non-financial types would be able to really, if you got a bloody paper, something's wrong,
Right.
You want it to be like springtime and green.
Exactly.
All right. That's amazing.
And then a couple more things I'll mention here. So one other thing is if you build out a template you like with like the package of income statements, the way you like to structure your executive summary, you can save that as a custom template and then copy that template to your other clients. So you don't need to keep reinventing the wheel over and over and over again. And then when you're ready to publish the financials, you can, as I mentioned, you can download this as a PDF. You can email it directly to your clients, or you can add it to the client portal, and then you can send your clients an email notification as well. This is one of the things that we actually strongly recommend for a couple of reasons. One is it cuts down on the number of requests that your client's making. They're like, hey, are my financials ready yet? Or can I see this old set of financials that I can't find in my inbox? And then the other thing that it does is it gives your clients another reason to go back into the portal. So if you still got those 12 uncategorized transaction questions, those 2 W-9s, those 3 credit card or bank statements that you may need, putting the client financials in the portal is a good way to add essentially more foot traffic in through the portal so that they can see that again. They're like, okay, my Bookkeepers has now gone in and given me my financials. They've given me what we asked for. Let me see if I can repay the favor.
Gotcha. No, that's there was another instance where I was like, it's okay for us to have our processes. And like, if this is how you work and you want to have these tricks that, like by sending it here, I'm going to get my little carrot as well, like I'm going to give you what you want, but I'm going to get like, those are fine things. Like we can have, like we're running professional businesses and this is how it's done. And your reports are in Keeper. Thank you very much. Actually, your reports are in my client portal.
Exactly. That's right.
All right. Well, so Nancy is saying that it would be amazing to have some KPIs per industry like you had suggested. So if you have any instruction on that, that would be fantastic. So anything else from you, Ben, and if y'all are listening and you have questions, type them now. Anything from you, Ben?
Yeah, I think that's probably a good high-level coverage of most of the things that we do here in Keeper, most of what it looks like to run a close, generate management reporting, communicate with your clients, and track your tasks.
All right. Well, so how's support handled?
Yeah, great question. We really strive to be the type of software that we wish we could work with. So what that means is extensive written and video documentation so that you don't need to reach out to us. And then when you do need to reach out to us, really quick response times as well. So anytime you have a question, you pop down here in the chat, you shoot us a message, and we'll get back to you within just a few minutes.
Okay. And can you tell us how you price?
Great question. So we price per connected QuickBooks file per month. So if you have 5 connected QuickBooks files, it's 5 billable clients. And then we have 2 core plans. There's Keeper Standard and Keeper Premium. Premium is the standard is most of the functionality I've shown here today. And then Premium is the ability to custom brand the portal, integrate your email, and then track your time and text your clients through Keeper. So that is 10 per month, whereas standard is 8 per month.
Okay.
So if you have 10 clients, it'd be 50 a month. Or sorry, 10 clients, it would be 100 a month.
Okay. And if people want to contact you, is just the best way, the website, the best place to find you online?
Yep, info@keeper.app will go directly to my inbox and we'll give you a quick response if you have any other questions.
Okay, well, no one has added any other questions, so I think this is good. We'll be able to wrap this up. Y'all remember that anyone who signs up for Keeper via the link at bookkeepingsidehustle.com/keeper, which I can put up back here real quick.
This is also the link. So it's keeper.app / via equals Kate-Johnson.
All right, and that's going to be behind the red button that you see at bookkeepingsidehustle.com/keeper. You sign up and you can get 3 months with 20% off. But if you sign up by July 6th, you'll be entered in to a drawing for one person who's going to win 50% off for Keeper for life. So we are going to say sayonara for now. And Ben, thank you. Please let me know if you have those kind of instructional resources. I'll be happy to share them with the group. And Ben's in the Facebook group, y'all, so feel free to tag him if you have questions. And we will sign off for now. All right. Bye, everybody.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Kate, for having me.